The Power of the Punch, Part 3. Come on in. Hello everybody, it's Julia Laird with Senior Susie Stamps, and today, The Power of the Punch, Part 3. And we all are familiar with punch and stamp combos that you're able to get, but what if you don't have the stamp that goes with the punch? Perhaps you found one at Goodwill, or somebody gave you a punch, or you found a great sale on one, but you didn't get the stamps. Well, that's what I want to talk about today. Let me show you some examples of some flowers that I consider to be atypical in their use of punches. Now this one in the background of this flower is obviously an old standby in which I did use the stamp itself, but the top of it is not the stamp that goes with that punch. And here's another one. You can make beautiful flowers using punches that are designed to coordinate with some different stamp, and they turn out absolutely gorgeous, and that's what we're going to talk about today. Here's some more examples. Let's see, I think I have another couple. Here's a tiny one. Isn't that pretty? And you know, you need all kinds of different sizes of flowers when you're putting together a card. And here's another one. So let me show you how I have made each one of these flowers today, and the punches that I have used. Now I've gone ahead and started by stamping the stamp for these flowers, and this one I have used Daisy Delight. This one is out of a mixed bunch. Uh-oh, I'm about to lose my stamps. Hang on. This one is Printed Petals, and I used this stamp and this stamp and this stamp as well out of this stamp set. And we'll see those a little later. I also used some stamps out of a card making magic called Perfect Christmas Rose. While we're on this subject matter, this one is a 5-petal flower, and you'll want to use that with a 5-petal punch. And you'll want to use a 6-petal flower with a 6-petal punch, or in this case, a 3-petal punch. So let's get started on this flower, and we're going to work on this one. And all I've done is to go ahead and stamp, and then I'm going to arrange my punch so that I have the coverage that I want. Sometimes you'll have to trim to where you can get access, because it's a little challenging sometimes to get the stamp just in the right spot when you're doing an atypical stamp. So there's one layer, and here's another layer, and you can see I'm just making sure that my my punch has coverage within that stamp zone that way. Now on this flower there is also these little ones, and I have used my little 4-petal tiny punch for that, and just gone up into that flower and centered the white circle dot there. And then this one, which is this punch. So this is the way you would normally use this punch on this flower stamp. There. But today we're making the layer 2 and layer 3 out of a different punch. So now I'm going to shape these just a little bit, and I'm going to flip the bottom one over, and I'm just doing a little rough shaping here using some of my flower shaping balls and a piece of foam. I think this foam actually came with these flower shaping balls, but I'm not positive about that. I do pull foam from other places sometimes. And I'm just drawing down the middle of that. You've seen flower shaping before, and this is no different whether you're using a typical stamp or an atypical stamp. And this one, I'm just going to punch in there and wiggle it a little bit to soften the fibers in that paper. And then I'm going to glue it up. Now you'll notice on this one I have put some, I hope you can see that, I've put some glitter glue on that one. We won't do that today because it takes time for that to dry. And this is really more just about the stamping technique using atypical stamps with punches. So that's my goal for today, is to think outside the box when you're using your punches. Now, I need my tweezers. I always need my tweezers, don't I? Here we go. And I have set the points of these the 6 petals for the second layer right into the groove of these ones. And then I'm going to just put this in the center. And there's flower number 1 done in an atypical punch. So there you go. And here's the original one. I'll go back and put some glitter on this later. Let's look at this one next. And it uses this same stamp, and it uses this same punch. And all I'm going to do is to make sure that I get the little teeth in my punch put up in the grooves where I want them. See how they all form around those petals that way. It needs to come up just a tiny bit more. There we go. So there's that one. And this one is the big daisy. Well, I have the medium-sized daisy, and it will work just fine. It's just a matter of getting your punch set where you want it. And there we go. And another one. Just take your time and be easy with it, and eventually it'll fall right in place for you. There we are. I'm going to do the same thing with my foam. I'm going to flip the bottom layer over and just do a little shaping. And all I'm doing is drawing it out from the center just like that. Not using a whole lot of pressure, but using enough to break the fibers in your paper loose a little bit. And then I'm just going to press down in the center and loosen it up a little bit. Now this one I'm going to glue together first, and then I'm just going to press it into the foam just to give those petals a little upward lift. There we go. And I'm going to do the same thing. You really kind of need to have it dried up just a little bit. There we go. and glue it. And place it in the center. Isn't that a pretty flower? I think these are just gorgeous. I actually think they're prettier than some of the original stamps are. Now, on these, oopsie, I've been using some of my enamel dots that I make out of Nuvo drops and keep on hand. So I'll put one of these down in the center of that when we're through, and that's all I did with this one. I want to keep working on these flowers. Okay, let's do this one next. Let me show you the paper that I'm using. It's this one twice with this stamp. And you know, there is a stamp set that goes with that stamp. It's called Flower Shop. This has been around for years. And if you haven't got this stamp set, but you've got this punch, you can do a beautiful flower with this. And here we go. I'm going to do 2 and then offset them. And on this one, I'm going to use this punch right here. And I'll have to trim this out in order to get it in there. And I may have to trim it out just a little bit more. But I think we're okay now. And all I'm doing is trying to make sure that that center dot is in the center here. There we are, right there. And we'll do the same thing. The first layer. And then the second layer I'm going to do face up. I'm breaking those little fibers. And this one I'm going to do face up. Now on this one I have punched with my handheld punch some little white centers. And layered them up so there's some substance there. And then I put a little white dot in the very center of this topmost layer. And you'll see I went in on each one of these dark petals and put just a little tiny drop of glitter. I hope you can see that in the camera. It's hard to tell, but I hope you can see it. And this one's going to go in the one that's cupped up. And then this one's going to go in the one that's cupped down. And I'm going to offset the petals. And there we go. Isn't that a beautiful little flower? And you can use these for all kinds of different things in your card making or whatever you're doing. Let's look at this one. This is a 5-petal flower, and this is my stamp. And all I'm going to do is to take my little 5-petal punch, and it goes originally with the petite petals, but you don't have to. And you can see. And what I'm going to try to do is get the original petals kind of bordered up into that area so that the lines that are drawn out from the center kind of make sense. That's all I'm doing. And I'm going to do 2 of them. And the same thing. These are really quick and easy to make. Put a little glue in the middle of it and glue them with the petals alternating. Now you could stack them with the petals on top of each other for a little different look, and that would work fine too. And then I took one of my enamel dots and glued it right in there. Let's see, I've got one more, and it's this little flower right here. Isn't that pretty? And again, I'm using this great big stamp, but I'm putting it in, where is it? It's gone somewhere. Oh dear. Oh, here it is. I'm going to use this punch, this one, and that one. It's like magic when you do these. And they're so pretty when you have your flower put together. And then I'm going to do this little daisy-like stamp. There. And then each one of those little dots will go down in one of the petals, and it has a totally different look. Isn't that amazing? Okay. So see, that doesn't look like the original stamp to me at all. Here it is, right there. And we're going to do the same thing. Do a little curving on these little guys. And I'm just going to come out from the back to curve it down a little bit, and then push in the middle to curve it up a little bit. And it gives your flower just a little bit of structure. And this same way. Put some glue on it. And put my little flower together. Now on this one, I'm going to put the tiny petals of the daisy-like in between the petals of the bigger flower. Just because I want to. You wouldn't have to. You could do it the other way, and that would be fine too. There. And then I'm going to take one of my little Nuvo drop dots and glue it on there in the middle when this dries. So, I hope you have enjoyed this tutorial, and if you have, that you'll subscribe to my channel. I appreciate it, and that these have maybe perhaps given you some ideas of other ways to use your punches, some other ways with new stamps, and get some flowers that look totally different than what you're used to. So I hope you have a great week, and I'll talk to you again soon. Bye-bye, y'all.